sekali lagi Natasha, just to for the benefit of the rest yang baru masuk.
Okay, from my reading, I understand postulate is something that lawmakers should take into consideration in making law.
What does it mean by taking into consideration?
Macam saya explain, kalau lawmakers dah comply data semua and dia nak buat law tapi dia orang ada assumption yang it will not be effective apa semua, the law tu sampai bila-bila pun takkan jadi. So
very good, Natasha, you got it. Because juru postulate, bila Roscoe Pound kata, kalau when you create that particular law, after you have analysed the data, so you are not supposed to worry about the impact of that particular law. So you tak boleh ada persangka buruk. Juru postulate is the assumption, meaning you cannot have some kind of reservation. Yeah, the word is reservation, meaning you are worried, of whether this particular law akan outcome dia macam mana. You are not there to think about the future in terms of the outcome. What you have done today, will determine the outcome is going to be good. That obviously the outcome may turn out to be not good. For example, you nak I tengok Whitney ni dekat Gunung Kinabalu, right? Betul ya Whitney? Whitney, gambar you dekat Gunung Kinabalu ke? Kat mana ke?
Bukan.
Bukan? Tapi kat mana?
Kat Maragang, bawah Gunung Kinabalu.
Okay, whatever it is, kita tengok Whitney punya situation. Katalah she is going up the Mount Kinabalu. In order for you to go up that Mount Kinabalu, apa yang you kena buat? Tell me, anyone?
Preparation.
Preparation. Your okay, preparation is number one. Tapi your preparation is based on what?
Physical and mental.
Yes, physical, mental, and the knowledge that you have over the apa kata the exercise that you're gonna conduct ataupun the journey that you're gonna take. So you plan, you review other people's information. You go to the blog, you go to the what they call it, the YouTube. You gather all the information, and then you start to realize how far it is going to be, how high it is going to be. All these kind of things they are all the information. Then you have to do some kind of balancing in terms of the benefit to your family, benefit to you, benefit to the your friends. Your friends might want you to go up. If you are not capable to go up, but yet you go up with your friends, you are going to hog them down because you are not prepared physically, mentally, because the data is not gathered. You do not prepare yourself. But once you have prepared yourself, meaning you have tried your best in order for you to be prepared, in order for you to go up that mountain, then jangan takutlah. I mean, people in this world, they are afraid of doing things. But if you have done all your work or your homework you have done, just do it. Masalah dia, a lot of us wants to create something, but we are having that doubt. That is the juru postulate, that the assumption that Roscoe Pound is asking us to do. Not to have that reservation. Jadi adalah jurus postulate. 1, 2, 3. Berapa jurus postulate ada tu? Danny? Berapa?
Ada 5.
5. Okay. Yang lain semua diam. Tak tahu apa yang dia orang buat. Okay. So jurus postulate.
Bukan 5 ke?
5. Okay, good. So 5 tu apa dia? Number 1 apa? To make things simplified. Apa number 1?
people will not be intentionally aggressive.
You don't think that people are going to be aggressive of your law that you want to create. Say for example Malaysia, kalau lah say for example that we want to change Article 153, remove the constitution to have a better better future, yeah, for Malaysia. So you don't worry about other people, the society, whether they are going to react in that manner, yeah. So that is number one. About jurul postulate number one, ada isu? Nisa Nabila? Hello? Everyone? Semua diam ya?
For me tak ada.
Sir.
Yes.
Okay. Nak tanya pasal jurul postulate sebab sir punya explanation lain daripada my understanding.
Okay.
Okay, so from my understanding is that jurul postulates are legal assumptions.
Okay.
From apa Roscoe tulis, it means that these are assumptions based on the legal system of that particular country. Macam the 5 jurul postulates that Roscoe buat is based on the American legal system during his time.
Right.
So macam apa yang saya cakap tadi, macam to me lah, it's more to social interest rather than a jurul postulate. It has more of a social force rather than a legal force yang backing that particular macam basically stumbling block lah untuk progress the law. So
okay, when you look at the society, because Roscoe Pound is talking about the outcome of the law is to change the society. You know, you are to foresee the outcome that you wanted to achieve by creating that new law. Jurul postulate is talking about those people who are in power with respect of the law. It is not postulating for the society, meaning you, say for example, all of you are going to be lawmakers. So jurul postulate is that the assumption in terms of your understanding of the law that is going to be applied. That is the one that he is talking about. Betul lah Naim kata tu, memang you're talking about legal postulates lah. Legal postulate in the sense that it is not general as what I said just now. It is towards those people that is in legal fraternity. You are in the legal institution. You are empowered to come up with a law, and the law that you want to create are based on data that you have collected, and you are able to balance them out, the interest between those three. So by doing that, this assumption, legal assumption that you have to take up are the things that you have to be careful lah. Or you are to be able to take it up. You just don't brush it aside. In terms of you have to, what they call it, be sensitive to it. Number one, yang Naim kata, number one apa dia Naim? Tak mau tanya Naim. Azia. Amira, number one apa dia?
Commit any intentional aggression.
So what do you mean by that? What do you understand about that? If you are the legal creator of the law, Benny? Hello? Amanda?
Sorry sir.
Apa dia?
Panggil saya.
Yang the first one, hampa ni yang dengar ke tak dengar ni? Kita dah buat discussion.
Tadi ada problem.
Jurul postulate number one apa dia?
It's mean like the lawmaker should be positive in making the law. they have to think that the society won't act some kind of aggression toward the particular that they are going to create.
Yes. So in other words, you have to be positive of the law that you want to implement. You cannot assume that people are going to be negative about the law. So the aggression of the society towards your law that you want to introduce, you should brush it aside. Boleh Naim?
Boleh sir, boleh.
Okay, kita tengok nombor 2. Okay, tak apa, kita tinggal nombor 1 as it is. Second one is being optimist towards. Kejap ada. Izian, is it like being optimist towards the law they create? Yes, because some people are clouded in terms of the belief that they have. So for example, Malaysia, kita takut negara kita kalau kita bagi sama adil untuk semua orang sekarang, you know, I'm not talking about the past. The past is past lah. We are talking about the future in order for us to move on in the next 100 years. If we continue with the current status quo, the law that we have right now, is it something that is going to produce good result? Now you have to question. Then when you start questioning, you have to do research in terms of data collection. And then you have to do, after the data collection, the reality of the problem is materialized. You nampak, oh betul, mana ada masalah ni. So jadi sekarang ni kena buat apa? Jadi kita kena buat balancing balik lah. Okay. Macam yang I bagi explanation tadi. Kalau kereta, you bawa kereta, kalau you tak buat balancing, macam mana you nak buat kereta? You know, you boleh bawa kereta dengan tayar gelong gedeng, boleh jalan, tak ada masalah. Tapi what is the outcome that you want from naik kereta tu? Point A to point B is in faster, right? And then on top of that, you kena rasa pleasant lah you bawa kereta tu. Kalau kereta tu duduk gelong, gedeng, sampai juga. Tapi lambat. It is not going to be pleasant to your body. Kalau ada 5 orang dalam kereta tu, macam mana apa akan jadi? Bayangkan kereta tu negara, people that inside the car are the member of that society. Stressful, painful. It is going to be tough, you know. So you as the lawmakers, you cannot have this so-called ill intention. You know, ill intention in a way that you takut. You kata, kalau kami introduce ni, dia orang akan ada negative reaction to the law that we want to create. Because data is already stated that the equality maybe perhaps, I don't know. No, I'm just giving you some idea. It might not be as the position that we were once in dalam 1957. Now, the disparity between Chinese, Malay and Indian is no longer there. So what we need to do is to eliminate 153 and then move forward. Now, upon eliminating 153, obviously ada quarters yang dalam society kata, "Weh, apa ni? How can you do that? You are destroying the framework of the society. We have been living with this framework, and then you suddenly wants to change the society." You tak boleh kata macam tu lah. You tak, jangan risau kalau macam tu. Sampai bila you nak ubah position? Because your positioning that you want to ubah is based on data. It's not on your feeling. Yeah, it is a science. It is based on reality. Itu juris tu is based on reality. We are not talking about fictitious concept, religious ideology, metaphysical, you know, theoretical. Tak ada. We talk about reality. There is juris 1 theory, metaphysical, that's done with. Now let's be real. You know, let's be real. What we need to do is to change the law. Why we need to change the law? Because the data is telling us we need to. Otherwise, Kalau gelong tu, katalah brake brake kita you tak repair, you kata boleh je brake. Tapi you duk bawa laju. What do you think what will happen? Kalau you dah agak kata you bawa jalan dekat Penang nak pergi ke Batu Feringgi. Jalan tu bengkok-bengkok. You need the ability to control, you need the ability to brake. So kalau brake you tak functioning, you should foresee that you are going to have an accident and the chances of you going off the cliff and die is there. So the same thing analogy for the nation. If you know, because you all are lawmakers, you should be able to know based on the data, the experience, the knowledge that you have. Okay, so you combine with all the data that you can gather from all perspective, then just do it. Ya, jangan duk kata oh takut lah. Sat lagi orang kata people of orang Melayu akan cakap dalam internet kan, whenever this type of issue raise, orang Melayu akan kata oh ini hak kami, kita tak suka belah lah, keluarlah negara. Or is that, do you fear those kind of things? Jaga you all. I know where you live. You know, I know your family members, mana pergi sekolah, mana your wife working and things like that. Itu susah lah kan. Okay, that is jurus postulate number 1 lagi. Jurus postulate lain. Second one. Natasha.
Others will act with due care and will not cast upon him an unreasonable risk of injury.
Do you don't worry about people being injured? They have their ability to know what is right, what is wrong. You know, the duty to be able to understand what they are doing actually. So you janganlah over sangat to the extent that you create the law is so meticulous sampai the society is suffocated now. Okay, macam nak kata kita COVID sekarang. Malaysian punya approach is that oh takut nak kena buat itu ruling ni sampai banyak sangat ruling kita pun tak tahu. Kalau kita tengok Netherlands, the Swedish punya countries, they are very calm to this problem. People die, yeah, okay, fine. But how do they approach it? Jangan panic, you know, sekejap buka, sekejap boleh makan 2, sekejap boleh makan 4 satu meja, sekejap 2 orang tak boleh naik kereta, sekejap 3 orang. You know, so many things that you want to list down. Just kata kat dia orang a certain principle, then you should be able to know how they will react and they should be able to know what to do. Because kalau you budak-budakkan orang, then dia jadi budak-budak lah. Okay, as lawmakers, we are to have that, you know, that element to be taken into. Natasha sekali lagi apa dia punya tu for the sake of the rest.
Others will act with due care and will not cause an unreasonable of injury.
Nampak, ya? Okay, so you have the law in your hands, you have the jurus postulate that you have to take into consideration. Ya, Laila.
Sir, maksudnya macam yang saya kata tadi, SOP yang berubah-ubah kat kita ni kira macam an injury dekat society lah kan? By the government, buat law.
Okay, you cuba bayangkan I nak keluar rumah, I tak tahu where can I go, how I would to do it, you know. I takut. You know, you are inflicting people with fear where the outcome is takut kena saman. Bila pergi kat polis pun tak tahu. Not all police know what needs to be done. Ada yang polis interpret as you tak pakai mask dalam kereta dah kena saman. Ada yang kata 2 orang tak boleh duduk depan. When I and my wife comes from the same house, why should we be in the position that seorang kat belakang, seorang kat depan? Unless kalau you letak kat Grab, then Grab is logical for that particular person not to stay next to the driver. Dia duduk kat belakang. You know, certain things you don't have it. the law that is being created sometimes it is ridiculous, you know. Kalau kita tengok yang COVID ni, ada yang dekat negara lain pakai sahaja kita punya mask, maka it shows that you are what? You sakit. I have a student baru 2 hari lepas sembang dengan dia dekat Netherlands. She is a law graduate with the army. She is alone there dekat sana, right? So she cannot come back because of the army don't let her to come back. When we were online, for me to my wife concerned about her untuk nak buat her master, so I was telling her the need for her to do, you know, things like that. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that dekat sana bila pakai mask, the police will stop you and say, why you wearing the mask? Can you see the difference between them and us? Kita tak pakai, kita kena saman.
Betul.
Kat sana pakai meaning there is something wrong with you. Otherwise you tak pakai. So which one is which? This is where Roscoe Pound is saying that juru postulate, yeah, you have to take into consideration. Siapa tak faham? Naim? Naim, are you okay? Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Faham, sir.
No, Atika. Ya, Atika.
Kan ada certain, bukan, Roscoe Pound dia cakap yang macam certain law may cause to perennial problem. So macam boleh cakap PKP tu as one of perennial problem to society ke macam mana?
It depends on how you interpret. If say for example, you are the kementerian before COVID, remember China take several weeks in order for them to stop, to declare to the world that they have COVID. We have the situation of Indonesia lying to the people when dah kena dah, ramai dah kena, tapi they knew about that. But the law that needs to be coming in, they are so afraid of the reaction that is going to have towards the society. You know, they have not done the balancing. They are more towards sentiment rather than data. If you go on data, you should be able to research and say and look at the previous pandemic punya situation. We go back to 1920s, you know, the Black Death, apa semua tu. Those are the things that you need to study. And then in order for you to come up with a law, and you decide. Once you decide, and then you have to face the consequences lah. If the society macam dekat Sweden, they do not lock down, but somehow or other the rate over there is reasonable as compared to Indonesia, as compared to India. I think India is faster kot. India pun delayed juga. That is why it is spreading. Okay, you boleh nampak tak Atika, because whatever it is that we apply is going to have a impact. There is a root problem, yeah, the root problem here. Perennial punya situation, yeah. Atika boleh?
Boleh sir, thank you.
Next, third one. Syamil? Laila, the third juror postulate apa dia?
The third, good faith in dealing.
Yeah?
Good faith in dealing.
Apa yang you faham tu?
Maksudnya how the government nak buat law, diorang kena take into consideration, tak boleh nak tindas, macam like dia buat law tu untuk tindas rakyat, macam tu ke sir?
So you go along the line that you are not to you know, do something that is negative to the society lah. Macam mana nak ni? Naim, can you explain since you understand dah?
Sorry, sir. People must be able to assume that other people will honor reasonable expectations which they create and undertakings which they give, as well as making restitution in respect to unjust enrichment, which they could not have been expected to receive. So, from my understanding, is good faith in the links is that the assumption is that the law is out there not to cheat but to help. Kita tak boleh nak assume that whatever the law is created is to cheat people, but instead we have to try and understand that the law is created to help. So kita anggap the law is bona fide lah. Like macam PKP lah. You know, some people understand that, you know, ataupun macam threat of emergency. Yeah. Is that okay? It's because that the kerajaan is in crisis or whatever. But on the other hand, when we think in good faith that maybe that whatever that the government has taken cost is to protect the people rather than to protect their own self-interest. Macam tu lah. That's how I understand it.
Okay, good, Naim. Just like what recently, what do you call it? Our Prime Minister, siapa? Lupa.
Muhyiddin, sir.
Muhyiddin, okay. Muhyiddin, Muhyiddin, when he went to see the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, his intention was to be enforced, to be given power of emergency, right? So his action of doing that is being seen as what do you call it? Trying to save himself, you know, or the government that he had or he is having right now, right? That is the third element whereby you have to, you know, tak bersangka buruk terhadap the law lah, you know. Say for example, bagi lagi satu example. Now Trump, he is losing. When he is losing, now he says that the law that is being applied is ataupun the process, the procedures, everything about election is corrupt. You know, how can you come up with that negative thing when you yourself went through the system? You know, and then suddenly you come back and say that the whole system is corrupt. Okay. That is something that is not reasonable for you to do. So I don't know whether I can make it as simple as possible, but yeah, that is the third one. The fourth one?
Control over dangerous activities ke?
Control?
Over dangerous activities.
Control over dangerous activities. What does it mean?
Yang tu saya tak sure.
Naim, Syamil?
Yang tu tak sure, sir. It's quite confused.
Apa ayat yang dia kata? Naim?
From the notes that I have, dia cakap people must be able to assume that other people will control things which they maintain on their land and which are likely to escape and cause damage. In my opinion, this is very American punya thing because they have gun laws and they are quite macam they have a lot of freedom lah. But the main thing when you talk about danger is probably gun lah. So the legal assumption is that you have the right to own guns and whatever, but they will have the necessary restraint to not use the guns in every situation. So that is what I understand from it lah, because applying the American context to these general postulates, I think that I can understand it somehow that people can use guns, but only in certain way. If you have your own land, then you can do whatever that is on that land, provided that it doesn't harm others. Somewhere it's probably from common law principles like in torts lah, trespass. So that is what I understand from this general postulates lah, that you in order for you to create laws, you have to take into consideration these things that yes, people are dangerous, people are capable of creating danger, but they are also capable of restraint. They are
Yes.
capable of controlling their actions.
That is a very good explanation of the juru postulate yang keempat kan. Because if you are in the position that you allow people to have this new law that you create, you must also take into consideration that they might at a certain element be abusive of that particular law, right? Abusive in what sense? Say for example, you create law for the police, to do something, to enforce them, to you empower them by virtue of the legislation or the law that you create from the parliament, right? To empower them to do certain things. How far that they are able to, abide to that particular force of power that you have given them. So for example, kalau lah kata kita bagi empowerment to the officers of pejabat agama Islam in order for them to cegah maksiat, to what extent that the power is to be delivered by them? Is it something that is able for them to abuse? You know very well that in certain situation when they went into other people's premises under the protection of the law, then they manipulate the situation, then manipulate in the sense that it benefits them. Kadang-kadang kalau perempuan tu tak pakai baju, nak tukar baju, dia kata tak boleh nak pergi private, pandai you buat maksiat ni, sembunyi-sembunyi buka pasang pakai baju depan saya, that is wrong. That is abuse of the power that is given. And then kalau you tengok certain situation which I have heard of, sexual favors were asked from those victims, from those so-called offenders. So is it something that is, you have to bear into the situation that whatever law that you create might have this element of abuse. So therefore you take precaution lah. With all the jurus postulate yang ada tadi, you tambah lagi satu where you are to be cautious. You have to obviously anticipate that people will take care of themselves. You have to also take into consideration that they are not going to retaliate to the law. You must also take into consideration that they might abuse when they are empowered by the law. So those are the things that we have to take into consideration. That does not mean that, yes, sorry Laila.
Sambung je, saya nak dengar dulu.
Tak, I dekat habis lah.
Okay, tak, macam Naim explain tadi tu kan, macam Sir juga cakap lah, law ni kita macam buat law yang kita boleh expect dangerous activities macam tu kan, but at the same time kita buat law tu untuk restrict the dangerous activity, betul tak?
Yes.
Tapi tak ke macam like is it not relevant kalau kita buat law terus untuk tak macam like not to allow any dangerous activities langsung, instead of lepas tu buat another yang untuk restrict the dangerous activities.
Okay, contoh kalau kita nak bagi LGBT, right, law to allow LGBT to do their activities, so what will happen to the society just because you do the balancing and then you say kena bagilah, because the society, in one way or another, I don't know whether the data is correct or not, you end up giving the LGBT the rights. So what will happen to the society, in our society today?
Diorang boleh abuse that.
Kan the negativity of the act, or the law that is being applied, the impact of the law, so people can utilize the permission, that is given by the law and abuse the law to the extent that negative reaction from the society is expected.
Faham. Thank you, sir.
The rest macam mana? Masih dalam Brandon, Amanda, hampa ni semua diam. Harap Naim. But sir, as leader, we should expect the worst. Yeah, you should. Bila you expect the worst, meaning you are cautious about the law that you're going to apply. However, juru postulate number 1 says that janganlah fikir prasangka buruk. You have to be cautious lah in a way. You kena buat, tetapi you kena juga at the same time fikir kata it might be abuse. So how are you going to tackle the abuse? If the contingencies must be there, meaning you tak main, this is the fact, I don't care, we need to change, this is the new law based on that. Okay, you push to the law to the society without being able to consider the consequences of that particular law. That is what Roscoe is trying to say. Boleh guys?
Boleh, sir. Saya ada last soalan yang on
Yes.
jurul postulate.
Yes.
Untuk the 5th jurul postulate yang beneficial control over property tu macam mana pula?
Beneficial control of property.
Over property.
Baca ni.
Saya tengah tengok simple notes je. Dia just tulis jurul postulates are presupposition of legal reasoning which yang macam lawmaker kena take as the background of any judgment. And one of it is beneficial control over property.
Beneficial control over property. Naim, ada notes ni? I tak ada notes nak refer tu.
Kat sini dia cakap people must be able to assume that they can control things that they have discovered, created or legitimately acquired.
Macam like what kind of property is that?
Okay.
Property
apa-apa yang property lah. So dalam keadaan macam ni, whatever the discovery of when it comes to property, then you are able to control that so-called property. So contoh orang asli, right? The fact that the law allows orang asli to have their own property, right? Tanah orang asli, right? So does it give the avenue for other people to control that so-called land that was given to them? When I went to the orang asli, what they call it, sanction, the places for orang asli, when I brought my student, normally the Jabatan Hal Ehwal Orang Asli ask me lah, because I'm the leader, right, to sign, I think, bundles of documents in order for me to, not to influence them, in terms of their rights. So when I went there, so the Tok Patin, the leader of the Orang Asli, he complained to me saying that their lands are being taken away by the officers that was responsible to take care of them. The Jabatan Hal Ehwal Orang Asli officers are to be the guardian of those Orang Asli, but it turns out that the guardian, ini classical example of pagar makan padi makan pagar. Macam mana?
Harapkan pagar padi.
Now in this situation, the property was given to a Chinese farmer, several Chinese farmer, in order for them to cultivate it into something that is more productive. So that's along that line. Can you understand the example that I'm giving you?
Yes, sir.
Naim?
Faham.
So because bottom line, we are talking about law being given authority towards dominance over property. Obviously, there are activities of society that you want to prevent from doing. So, for example, kalau kita ambil activity that is concerning property, kita tengok theft, ya, kita tengok robbery, kita tengok arson, kita tengok macam-macam lah. Anything that is the activity kita ada towards human body and property. Because basically that is our fundamental rights kan, save of your life and property, betul tak? So the law which is concerning property must be properly properly kena identify lah, ya, or you know, you have to take into consideration of that element, property. Okay, boleh tak?
Boleh sir.
Kalau tak boleh nanti I bagi lagi example that I can think of, you know, to simplify things. Okay, yang Taman Naha, okay?
Sir, last nak tanya pasal Roscoe Farm.
Yes, yes.
Dia kan Roscoe dia emphasize on principle social engineering kan sir?
Yes.
So macam as a lawyer, kita ke yang dia umpamakan sebagai engineer tu macam?
Yeah, you are the engineer.
Boleh sir, boleh tak sir emphasize what are the roles out? Maksudnya macam yang saya faham kalau diumpamakan as engineer tu kan macam engineering tu macam complicated, benda yang susah.
Yes.
So, apa yang maksud Roscoe nak cakap sir?
Kita ni legal institution, people yang duduk dalam legal institution are people like you and me. So therefore we know, we have learned the nitty-gritty of the impact of the law. Okay, you tengok cases, you tengok obviously cases lah kan kebanyakannya. Tapi kalau you tengok argument about the court's decision over the law that has been created, we are the one that knows what needs to be done, right? So we are the engineers of the society, because if you end up as a lawmaker in the parliament, say for example, or maybe towards your department or whatever it is, the legal institution that you're going to park yourself into later on, you are going to do things, yeah. So when you create law, obviously you're going to do things, meaning you are going to create laws. Decision is going to be made by you. Kalau you duduk dalam majlis you are the legal officer of Majlis Bandaraya Shah Alam. Okay, powers are given to you in order for you to be able to come up with new rules, yeah, concerning certain issues. So what are you going to do? So macam say for example, ingat tak yang case yang Mamat tu dia buat video viral dekat somewhere, I can't remember where. I'm not very particular about the place, tapi somewhere in Kelang, you know, Kelang Valley, where siapa ingat dah cerita tu yang dia complain kata nanti dia kena bunuh lah apalah, yang apa businesses dia kata majlis tak bagi dia buat businesses, and then what happened is the retaliation of the majlis to take over semua peniaga-peniaga tepi jalan tu buang, and then ada yang ada what they call it, container, dia bagi masa 24 jam je untuk nak ambil container tu, which is not reasonable for them to do so.
Yang case burger tu ke?
Case burger tu kan?
Yes.
So you boleh nampak kat situ. So the relationship of social engineering. Kalau you duduk as the legal officer of that Dewan Bandaraya, what would be your action? You are being forced by the society to take action, and then if you want to do justice, then you have to do justice to all, right? So in this situation, what happened was dia main tangkap, dia ambil je semua orang, dia enforce it. Wahal sebelum ni dia tak enforce. Nampak tak? You tak boleh lah buat macam tu, you know. you want to show power, right? You are the legal officer of Dewan Bandaraya. You cannot show power. Why you cannot show power? Because people's life is in your hands. You know, you have to do balancing lah. I mean, a simple balancing. Macam mana, Azia?
Balancing tu dari segi interest of social, private.
Yes. Yeah. You have to think about your position as the legal officer of that Dewan Bandaraya, right? That you kena tengok that is public punya interest. Okay, your public interest termasuk diri you, termasuk you punya department, termasuk you punya agency, termasuk dengan the police punya apa? Because your activity is interrelated with other legal institution juga. That is public. Kalau society, you look at the interest of the society for that particular problem. Macam mana? Do you think what the society is looking? Ada bad name to the Dewan Bandaraya because all this while Dewan Bandaraya memang gangster, tapi bila certain situation tak ada juga. Are you saying that ada BPR, ada rasuah kat situ? Do we need BPR to come in to check whether the officers are receiving money from those people or not? So it is in your power as the legal officer. So you have to do the individual interest, public interest, and the social interest before you come up with a directive saying that pergi tangkap, pergi roboh, pergi pergi kutip semua barang-barang tu. Boleh nampak guys?
Okay, clear sir. Thank
Clear?
you.
Right.
Boleh. So this macam first of all kita kena tengok look into social engineering on which interest yang prevail. Contoh macam adakah public punya interest, social punya interest ke, ataupun that individual punya interest ke. So in order to do that, kita look into this juror postulate. For example, kalau untuk case yang we discuss just now baru ni, yang burger ni, so it relates to the third juror postulate yang act in good faith lah kan. So that the law should not macam deceive the people, ataupun the law should not deny some rights yang patutnya people dapat. Because in this situation macam the rights that should be given to the society is that untuk clearkan masalah kriminal punya situasi. Contohnya macam judi, kedai yang dilaporkan. Instead the authority,
that is your function. Nanti you end up, all of you are going to end up in legal institution. Sebab kita belajar law, chances are high, probably lah, the probability is very very high that you are going to end up in power within a legal institution. So I don't know where you are going to end up. Mungkin kat custom ke, mungkin kat kerajaan in terms of jabatan Perdana Menteri ke, jabatan pelajaran ke, whatever department that you are going to end up with, you are going to be given power. So that particular power that you are going to be given must be delivered in a way that is not, it is just for the society. It is not going to be something that you do it just because you have that power. You must be able to do the balancing. And upon learning of this juris punya course, you should be able to be aware untuk apa yang you kena buat nanti. This is the practical side of jurisprudence in order for you to apply later on. You are now being made aware of the consequences of your action if you don't follow some jurisprudential punya perspective. Kalau you pegang res compound punya idea, then you should be able to be very clear. I need to do the data gathering, I need to do the balancing, and then I want to create that law. I have to also consider juror postulates. Boleh?
Boleh.
Alright, so I assume that some of you, I nampak macam dah okay. I assume everyone else okay lah kot. So thank you very much for the class. I will put up the recording in the link dekat YouFuture ya.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. If you have any question, just ask through the WhatsApp. Kalau dalam general malu,
Okay,
PM boleh.
sir.
Right. Assalamualaikum.
Yes, sir.
Salam.
Salam.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.